In Europe's halls of power, nuclear deterrence is no longer a whispered topic. It's front and center. The conversation has shifted from quiet back rooms to the main stage as leaders grapple with the realities of a changing world. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has shattered old assumptions, forcing a continent-wide rethink of defense. The images of conflict and devastation have made it clear that Europe can no longer take its security for granted. French President Emmanuel Macron is leading calls for Europe to consider France's nuclear arsenal as part of a collective security framework. He believes that a unified approach could offer Europe a stronger, more credible deterrent. This isn't about aggression, but about facing a new, uncertain reality. Ordinary citizens feel the tension, and leaders must respond to their concerns with clear, decisive action. For decades, Europe relied on the US nuclear umbrella through NATO, but recent events have sparked a push for greater self-reliance. The question now is whether Europe can and should take more responsibility for its own defense. Macron urges European leaders to openly discuss what a credible, European-led deterrent could look like. He's calling for honest dialogue, not just among politicians, but with the public as well. The debate is about preparedness and autonomy. Who truly guarantees Europe's safety? Is it time for Europe to step up and take control of its own destiny, or should it continue to rely on old alliances? The return of war to the continent has exposed uncomfortable truths about Europe's defense dependencies. The movement of refugees and military forces is a stark reminder of the stakes involved. Macron's proposal is a pragmatic evolution, not a radical break, aiming to strengthen Europe from within. It's about building trust and cooperation, not creating new divisions. The challenge: unite diverse member states, some seeking strong guarantees, others wary of escalation. Achieving consensus will require patience, diplomacy, and a willingness to compromise. The goal is clear: a stronger, more resilient Europe, ready to defend its interests and values. As this new chapter unfolds, Europe faces a defining moment, one that will shape its security for generations to come. France now stands alone, a unique position in the European Union. Since the United Kingdom's departure from the EU, France has become the bloc's only nuclear power, carrying a responsibility no other member shares. Its force de frappe, originally developed from a deep desire for national independence, has evolved into a potential cornerstone for the continent's collective security. The vision of Charles de Gaulle, who championed strategic autonomy for France, continues to shape policy today, as President Macron builds on this enduring foundation. France's nuclear arsenal is more than just a collection of weapons. It stands as a powerful symbol of national sovereignty, deterrence, and the weighty responsibility that comes with it. As instability rises across the globe, a credible EU-based nuclear deterrent offers the promise of security that is independent of outside powers, especially in uncertain times. France argues that Europe should not depend solely on Washington's decisions for its own defense, but instead develop its own credible deterrent. The presence of a nuclear-armed EU member fundamentally changes the strategic calculus for any potential aggressor, making Europe a more formidable force. Macron's proposals carry unique weight. He leads both a major European economy and the EU's only nuclear state, giving his words added significance. What was once a source of national pride for France is now increasingly framed as a vital European asset, essential for the continent's collective security. The question remains: how can this singular power best serve the security and future of all Europe in a world that is rapidly changing? At the heart of Macron's vision lies the doctrine of strategic autonomy, Europe's ability to defend its own interests and make independent decisions on the world stage. This concept is about more than just military might. It's about Europe charting its own course in an increasingly unpredictable global environment. Importantly, this isn't about isolating Europe or undermining NATO. Instead, it's about Europe stepping up to become a stronger, more reliable partner within the alliance, capable of sharing the burden of collective defense. Achieving strategic autonomy means investing in military readiness, advancing technological innovation, and building robust diplomatic networks. It's about ensuring Europe can act when necessary, without always waiting for others. In a world marked by great power competition and shifting alliances, Europe can no longer afford to be passive or dependent. The nuclear debate is a logical extension of this thinking. True autonomy requires Europe to seriously consider its own ultimate security guarantees, including nuclear deterrence. Relying solely on others for security creates vulnerabilities and exposes Europe to risks beyond its control. With the US increasingly focused on the Indo-Pacific and the return of war to European soil, the need for European self-reliance has become more urgent than ever before. Strategic autonomy is ultimately about Europe taking responsibility for its own security, strengthening the Western alliance by being a more capable and proactive partner. Critics sometimes misinterpret this as anti-American sentiment, but French officials are clear. The goal is to reinforce, not replace, the vital transatlantic ties that bind Europe and the US. A stronger, more autonomous Europe actually frees up US resources, allowing America to address global challenges more effectively. Ultimately, the nuclear debate is about ensuring Europe has a decisive voice and real options when its most vital interests and security are on the line. Macron isn't proposing nuclear proliferation or a radical shift in doctrine. France's deterrent remains strictly defensive, but its vital interests could now include European partners. The key is consultation, not sharing weapons or dual key control. The French president alone decides on nuclear use, but partners are invited into strategic dialogue. This means discussing scenarios, integration with EU defense, and building trust. The approach avoids legal and political pitfalls of nuclear sharing. By focusing on consultation, France strengthens deterrence without sparking an arms race. The message: an attack on a European partner could trigger a response, as France's interests are at stake. The shift is psychological and political. Europe is signaling unity and a shared destiny. The deterrent is not just France's shield, but a symbol of collective European resolve. Russia's invasion of Ukraine shattered Europe's security order and revived fears of large-scale war. Moscow's nuclear threats have forced Europe to confront the reality that nuclear weapons remain central to power politics. The war exposed vulnerabilities and spurred massive defense investments across the continent. Finland and Sweden joined NATO. Military budgets are rising everywhere. The nuclear debate is part of this broader awakening. Europe is taking defense seriously. Macron's initiative is a timely response. Conventional strength alone may not deter a nuclear-armed aggressor. Europe must ensure it can't be blackmailed or divided by nuclear threats. NATO's US-led nuclear umbrella has long been Europe's security bedrock. France remains committed to NATO, but has always maintained independent control over its nuclear forces. French skepticism about relying solely on the US is rooted in history. Would Washington risk its own cities for Europe? Recent US political shifts have revived these concerns. France argues a credible European deterrent, with France at its core, adds certainty and strengthens NATO. Unlike the UK, France's arsenal is not integrated into NATO command. This independence is now seen as a strength. The proposal is to create a European pillar within NATO, not to replace it. A Europe that can deter threats on its own is a stronger partner for the US. The approach reinforced NATO with a distinct, credible, French-led European deterrent. Macron's call for a nuclear debate has sparked mixed reactions across Europe. Supporters see it as overdue. Europe must not outsource its ultimate security. A European deterrent would strengthen diplomacy and complicate any aggressor's calculations. The aim: prevent war by making the cost of aggression unacceptably high. Critics, especially in Eastern Europe, fear weakening NATO or the US guarantee. Some worry about undermining arms control and sparking a new arms race. Anti-nuclear voices call for diplomacy and disarmament, not more weapons. The debate reflects Europe's diversity, balancing security with a commitment to peace. Macron isn't demanding immediate change. He's calling for open, transparent dialogue. The goal is to build a shared understanding of threats and how France's arsenal fits into Europe's defense. No new weapons, no change to non-proliferation commitments, just honest discussion. Partners are invited to understand French doctrine and consider nuclear deterrence as part of a broader strategy. This transparency is a break from nuclear secrecy, aiming to foster shared responsibility. The process itself strengthens unity and political cohesion. Macron's initiative tests Europe's political maturity. Can it confront hard questions together? The focus is on building consensus and a common strategic culture for the future. Europe's nuclear debate is about more than weapons. It's about identity and responsibility. The challenge is to balance credible deterrence with a steadfast commitment to diplomacy. Europe must strengthen NATO and transatlantic ties while building its own capacity to act. The fact that this debate is public marks Europe's growing political maturity. There's no single answer. Leaders must respect diverse perspectives while forging unity. The process is difficult, but essential for a secure, resilient Europe. This isn't a turn away from alliances, but a sober response to a changed world. The goal: preserve peace, defend values, and ensure a stable future for generations to come.